dying. Has anybody seen that picture? There's a picture of Trump's hand that they have. That's what I want them talking about. He slipped going up the thing the other day. When Biden slipped, people talked about it for weeks. This was gone, so I put it on Twitter. The man's hand has dead skin. I mean, I'm telling you, the skin in the middle of his hand looks like it's, or the outside that area, looks like it stopped generating in 94. That there's some nutrient in the air that stopped being, I'll find it in PTR. I don't need to hear from Hunter Biden. I don't need to hear from Tim Walz. Now, I know why Tim Walz is on it. That's cool. Don't invite him. I don't know, man. It's a mess. And now to the part of the room, we got David Hogg running around here. Everybody, like Negus and others. Oh, he's the guy. He's the guy. He loses every race. His person lost by 40 points last night. He actually put money in that race. Lost by 40 points. I'm surprised he was appointed. You appointed him. The man's hand. I'm a PTR the hand. Hold on, John. Let me see. I think John Kitover's here. John, just in time. I want to get some of this on YouTube. Somebody to make sure this is you, John Kitover.
Yeah. So, Odie, again, I just have to say, you don't know what you're talking about. I have dozens of hours. I mean, hours and hours of content from last year telling people, it does not matter how you personally feel about Harris. We need Harris to win. Hours. Because it's not about personal feelings. It's not about, I can't sleep at night because if I vote for a genocider. No, I thought that stuff was fucking dumb. I thought it was stupid. Said it over and over again and again. Yes. I just think it is a feelings-based misrepresentation. I understand. I get it, Odie. We're all suffering. We are.
Kimberly, do you have the link for John Kitover streaming so you can add it to your copyright claim? He's in here now. It's online.
Okay. So good. This is good. I did 2 yesterday. I haven't gotten a follow-up yet, but.
Cool. So this is a dumb comment. You have a caucus criticizing her in Gaza. I mean, yeah, this is.
But I thought we understood that it was the Biden administration, not Harris, right? I did criticize the Biden administration's relationship with Netanyahu. Lots of people did. I still said that we have to vote for Kamala Harris.
I read yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, that the New York Democrats don't have an appetite for mid-decade redistricting. I don't. This is all a mystery to me. Strange. Somebody put the link in the chat of John Kitover's streaming so Kimberly can make her third request and get his station shut down. all you have to do is come in and ask. I will let people know. They all say yes, Dalen. We do not get permission for this to appear on YouTube. That's what you feel.
But yeah, I do agree with you, Go, that just the media strategy, the timing is just not ideal because it does foment Democrat on Democrat or fake Democrat on Democrat or leftist on Democrat banging. Like we gotta kick it back up again when this is the perfect time to be laser focused on the corruption, the havoc that the current administration is causing.
But it was sort of. I was gonna say, was it the chicken ranch? It was something similar. I don't know. The thing is at the time. I know what we can do. I'll start a club to talk about politics, and I'll make the club by invite only. And therefore, I can approve people, because most people I know, I can approve people to join the club, and we'll have club-only rooms. That's the best way to do it, because he's streaming people without their permission. So it's just the best way to do it.
Oh, the other thing about it is because he goes, this was the other thing that I ran into, because he goes between channels, it's going to be not 3 times that I'm going to have to report. It's going to be 6 instances that I'm going to have to report.
Okay. All right, so I'm having lunch, so I'll make the club, and then people can join it, and then we can move from there. Cool. Yeah, I'll do a loud request. That's what I meant. He also streams it on Facebook too, just so people know. He does both Facebook and YouTube.
He's got a run and hide.
Money watching community.
Like they need justice, right? They need.
I think that there's a gross underestimation of the extent to which Trump's base was principled in their stance on the Epstein files.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
So this kind of manifests as a kind of gross negligence on their part, to string along those people only to underdeliver.
Yeah,
that's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that they're in on the cover-up, which is what a lot of people suspect.
Yeah, and then then you can kind of, even though you might think a lot of things about Elon, but then it lends more credence to like the uniparty thing, right? It doesn't really matter if it's a red tie or a blue tie; they're all part of a club that we're not invited to. And and you're not supposed to be naive either, of course. Like if it's matters of national security, you need to kind of like you have to use discernment, right? Some things are absolutely, like this thing, for example. I think it's really something that the American public deserve to know the truth about. But then what are the implications of it becoming public? Who are the people that have done this? How many are they? What connections do they have to other governments, for example, which Tucker Carlson seems very, very keen on trying to imply, right? So not only him, but others like him.
I mean, to be fair, the principle stance is along those lines. Like, if you take for granted the things that all of the people who currently hold office took for granted, which was that there was an illegal ring of pedophilic activity perpetrated by Epstein and his wife, then that means there's a bunch of victims of this, and that means that there were clients of this, and so they exist. If that's the starting point, then you need to bring these people to justice, and like not releasing that information seems like a huge impediment to bringing these people to justice. And if you're doing it to protect people in government, that makes it worse because that makes you complicit. So it doesn't take much conspiratorial thinking. You can just be a reasonable person and come to these conclusions. And so it's hard to dismiss and just move on. And so when I hear Charlie Kirk say, I don't care about the Epstein files anymore, it's like, well, that's weird.
It's very, very weird, especially considering he likes to point out the fact that he's a Christian. Not that it has much merit here, but just, in fairness, you want truth. You're supposed to live by the truth. And then there must be a very, very compelling reason as to why you would want to kind of fuck over your voter base. As you said, either they are complicit or it's something deeper. Maybe it's tied to like a whole bunch of stuff that we're not supposed to know about. But even if that is the case, I still think you could disclose at least something. Just throw people a bone, But they're kind of essentially they're gaslighting everyone now and saying that we're all crazy because we believe this, right? And I don't think that's smart.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's bad optics, which is now turning into bad political strategy, and it's giving ammo to the political rivals.
But also
enough time to weaponize it against them.
Yeah, but what would be the alternative then, Jason? Because if we're looking, I don't know who the Democrats are going to run the next cycle, right? But you can rest assured it's going to be one of these swamp creatures. So it's like it doesn't matter who you vote for; they're all pedophiles. So is it the pedophiles with the best morals? Is that the one you're going to vote for? Who has the best economic policy? We're all fucking children, but at least I don't want to tax you as high as the other guy. What? It feels like I'm taking crazy pills.
I mean, I hear you. I mean, that's kind of a jaded response, but I think that some people are really serious about this. It's kind of like their issue. So you can chip away at it. I just don't know how many Americans that is. I don't know what electoral outcomes that they're going to come of this.
So Muse, I have a theory about the Epstein case that's not popular, but that the people that had sex with 17-year-old females thought they were 18. So my theory, I'm happy to hear criticism, is no one thought they were flying to that island to have sex with women younger than 18. Epstein introduced women and said, hey, this woman is 18. A lot of men had sex with women who were 17, but they thought they were 18, and then Epstein blackmailed them. So there are a lot of criminals, but they were accidental criminals. And I'm not trying to persuade you of the truth of that theory. I'm asking whether you've heard that theory from anyone else.
I never heard that theory. If I would consider it, I'd say it's probably likely that a subset of them were like that, but not all of them. I think some of them knew full well those girls were underage. I suspect as much. I think it's a reasonable suspicion. One of the reasons is because if you're going to do like a ring of the sort that's been described, and a lot of times what you would advertise is the fact that they're underage, because that there are people who have those predilections, and then you promise them the rich and powerful people. So you promise them discretion along the lines of like what P. Diddy was accused of. So I actually think that probably a lot of them knew full well that those girls were underage. And apparently, supposedly, there's supposed to be a bunch of child pornography materials that are a part of the evidence. So people were creating films of this sort, and it seems like at least those people knew that those people were underage. So if that theory is true, it probably applies to just a unspecifiable subset.
Just to piggyback off of that, Muse, I think, Homer, I understand where you're coming from, and I tend to agree that it's probably a subsection of all these people, but you also have to understand the depths of depravity we are speaking about here. If we're just talking about like run-of-the-mill, gay clubs, they fucking shit in each other's mouths. Do you think really fucking a child is that crazy to some people? I mean, come on. Hyperbolic a little bit, sure, but I mean, these people are deeply depraved. They are beyond what we are able to kind of grasp. So and I feel like maybe we're being. Again, this is very much tinfoil, Alex Jonesy, but we're talking a lot about, you hear this term a lot when you have like predictive programming and stuff. Like if a Hollywood screenwriter can write about children being murdered, in elite parties or like Squid Game and stuff like that, it's not beyond the scope of what could actually happen in reality. I'm not saying it's widespread, but it definitely, I mean, they've had pedophile rings, not only in America, like the Savile guy in the UK. He was the biggest kind of child, he had like a kids show in like the 70s, I think. They knew full well that he was exploiting children, right? But it didn't say anything because they were gathering compromat on all his friends. So it's not like it hasn't happened before.
What you mean.
Okay, you've convinced me that some of the men knew they were having sex with underage women. Some of these men do deserve to be exposed and put in prison. And you've convinced me that Trump has made a decision to protect. Trump has on his desk proof that there are certain men who are guilty, and Trump is protecting them. And I could understand completely why someone who really believes that could be permanently angry at Trump. So you've simplified it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's very hard as a layman or someone without access to power to understand the reasoning behind it, because we don't see all the cards, right? Could be that he can use it as leverage. Some people might say, oh, that's a massive code, like he could be using the knowledge that he has to kind of implement the changes he revamped.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I mean, you could imagine a scenario where he has videos of Macron, right? Yeah. And Starmer, right? And even, like, say, Zelensky, right? Like, it's possible, not likely, but it's possible. Yeah. He has videos, and it's possible he is using them to advance the best interest of America. It's out of the question. It's a possibility, but it's also possible. It's also possible, considering he's such a scummy guy, that he's just blackmailing them and saying, "Give me billions of dollars into my personal account." So that could be happening.
That could also be happening. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
There's
There's also the supposition that he may be on the hook too.
A wonderful meal.
There's reasonable doubts about that, but
yeah.
Oh,
no, but the comparison again, Muse, was very, very apt. I think, like, just look at to what extent they ran cover for Biden during his mental decline, right? They were essentially just every day on the news being like, oh, sharp as a tack.
Well, and
using body doubles and stuff, and you're like, okay, well, this is obviously what they're doing. Everyone knows that they're doing it, but
wait, hold on. They used body doubles for?
Yeah, Andre. There's a clip where they have basketball, like NBA Biden. He's like 6'5". You know, he's 6'5". He's like towering over his wife. Like I can see if I can find that clip, but clearly it's not him. You know, but they all act like it's him. Yeah, no, I think we're living in like this weird kind of 1984-ish, but not as cool version of reality where they're all just they're doing what they need to do in order to for the optics, all right? So no, I definitely believe there's more to this, and the interesting question, Muse, is when is the breaking point? Like, when are the American public fed up enough with this back and forth, essentially, two sock puppets just fighting each other for entertainment?
Well, is it possible? Have you considered that part of the success of America is incredibly successful compared to Europe, is precisely because our political parties are fighting about this silly stuff. I'm not trying to convince you of the truth of that, but if you compare the public policies in the U.S. to the public policies in Europe, we have kicked Europe's ass for 15 years, and our GDP per capita is rocketing upwards as theirs stagnates. Respect.
Yeah, no, and I totally get that, Homer. It's a valid point and a salient one. But what I would say is that yes, look at us. Don't become us, Homer. And this is
Alex, where are you located? I'm not trying to be an asshole. Where are you physically located?
In Scandinavia, Homer.
Okay, so are you in one of the Scandinavian countries that made the mistake of letting in migrants that may be committing a little crime?
I'm currently the poster boy for that. Okay. My country is the at the bleeding edge of this endeavor.
Okay, so I'm Clubhouse. I have very nasty things to say about all Republicans and all Democrats. So I'm not partisan, and I have praise for your country. So I was actually visiting your country, and there's a lot of nice things in your country. Truthfully, Malmo is...
No, it's a shithole. It's Baghdad.
But your whole country is now Malmo. So I think most Republicans would say, I visited Malmo, it's a shithole, so your country sucks.
Yeah.
Whereas I would visit one of the more northern cities and say, your country is beautiful. And I want to give you, I don't want to divert the room, I give your country tremendous praise for pivoting. I know of no country in the world that's pivoted more decisively than your country has. And the voters of your country treated the Sweden Democrats as worse than scum for many years. Yeah. And now it's sort of like almost the majority of your country has come to their senses. And so I give your country complete credit for admitting its mistakes openly and pivoting. Okay, I'm done speaking. I don't want to hijack.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I appreciate it, Homer. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm not wagging the finger here, but what I'm trying to kind of, the point I'm trying to get across is, like, you see what happens when you have a bloated bureaucracy. We have, like, most of the laws that we have to follow are not being decided on the national level. It's the people in Brussels that they don't pay any taxes on their salary. They decide exactly what we're going to do. What a farmer in my country, how many potatoes is that farmer going to grow before he gets fined? That is decided.
But my criticism of Europe doesn't have to do with Brussels. You may be misinterpreting, Alex. So I'm going to be clear. Yeah. Brussels, I'm sorry to be an asshole, but Brussels did not force your country to let in the most violent.
No, absolutely not.
Please let me finish. Brussels did not force Germany to destroy its economy by shutting down nuclear power. That's not. Brussels did not force Spain. In fact, Brussels was supportive of nuclear, as you can see in France. Brussels never forced a nation to have employment contracts for life. In other words, Brussels never forced companies to never fire the unproductive employees. That was mostly national government. So when I look at the total disaster, let me give the final example.
Yeah.
No one on Clubhouse, literally zero people on Clubhouse know this, but Europe's policy towards air conditioners kills more people than all the guns and all the cars in America. So what I'm saying is, if you add up every single person in America who's killed by a car, and every single person in America who's killed by guns is still a smaller number than the number of Europeans that die every summer, because the Europeans are so retarded they vote to ban air conditioning. It's 80,000, and no fucking people on Clubhouse know that. But I'm done speaking. You go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic point, Homer, and absolutely there are instances where countries, in some sort of suicidal empathy, they make these super retarded decisions. Excuse my French. Because out of dogma and ideology, right? So the Germans essentially saying, you know what, we're going to make ourselves entirely energy dependent on Russia, instead of going the opposite direction.
Even worse, right? Yeah. The environmentalists, you're correct, but you're understating it. The environmentalists forced them to shut down nuclear. So Germany is now burning coal. So because of the Green Party, the Green Party of Germany has fucked the air quality of all of Northern Europe, because they shut down clean, efficient nuclear in order to have coal. That's how retarded it is.
Yes. And it's the fault of short-term thinking, and I think unfortunately you see this in a lot of these countries, that which I mean you can discredit both sides of the aisle here, to be honest, but back in the day we had huge kind of systems and long-term strategy, right? So after the Second World War, when we got the loans from America, thank you very much. Then these countries, they at least had leaders that realized that, hey, this is a big national project. It's going to take decades to get to the goal here, but at some point in time they got lost.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would describe America. So I would describe America as controlled by the deep state.
Yeah.
But I think what no one else on Clubhouse sees, except for me, is it's a benevolent, altruistic deep state. So, and you're not going to hear this from anyone else, in my view. The deep state, the leaders, the real powers behind the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they conspire on most things, right? And it's a conspiracy to deny Americans what they have in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Like Plato said, as you well know, Plato said democracy can never work because the voters are retards and they're going to vote too much free shit. That's basically all of what Plato said in the Republic. Well, I think the deep state in America recognizes that Plato is correct and that democracy has to be tempered. And so I think essentially what you have in America is both parties pretend to hate each other. And the proletariat, trust me on one thing, the proletariat in the Democratic Party hates the proletariat in the Republican Party. They hate each other. But the elites in both parties have an understanding. So I think it's a benevolent conspiracy, and the proof of the benevolent conspiracy is we still have nuclear power, and you don't. We still have employment at will. The most powerful thing for having a good economy is employment at will. We have it, and you don't have it, right? We have an open economy. The overwhelming majority of migrants to the U.S. actually get jobs. But no party would deny. It's like when America lets in 1 million immigrants, like 90% of them get jobs, whereas in Europe, more than half the immigrants refuse to work. If you look at the labor force participation in Sweden, it's horrific. Even after living in Sweden for 20 years, many migrants refuse to work. So I guess what I would say is we have like it's a little bit of a joke. It's a little bit of a shtick, right? It's like professional wrestling. The Democrats hate the Republicans, but on the really important things, the elites are taking care of us. And the idea that we have a benevolent conspiracy, it's so offensive. All the proles in the Republican Party hate the idea, and all the proles in Democrat, they get pleasure from hating each other, right? If you talk to dedicated Democrats and Republicans, the happiest thing is like criticizing each other and hating each other. That's what makes this room so special.
It's like a sports team. Yeah. It's like the Yankees against the Red Sox, or like the Knicks against the Lakers, or whatever. Yeah, I understand it, Homer, and it's a very good point. Again, I think you're very efficient in kind of describing it. But you know, playing devil's advocate here. I mean, it sounds like you're championing the lizard people, and I mean, I get that because stability is of course preferable, especially if you're the most powerful nation in the world.
Well, Alex,
right?
has anyone in your life ever suggested that the lizard people would
Hold
run
on,
America
let me interject a fact check, because I don't want to get it for a while. You have a way of just spewing things on back to unrelated shit. So, first of all, there is no evidence officially that air conditioning bans cause death in Europe. However, heat waves, which can be exacerbated by a lack of access to air conditioning, are serious public health concern. In 2023, over 47,000 excess deaths in Europe were attributed to heat. In 2022, over 60,000 deaths were estimated. Wow. So, anywhere from 47,000 to 60. I've seen evidence that there's been 80,000. However, the last data that I see here is 2023. It is now 2025, so perhaps it's possible it got up to 80 maybe in 2024 or so. It is the summer now, so they wouldn't come up with those until after the summer was over. 2025. In the United States, approximately 42,514 people die in car accidents each year. So somewhere in the ballpark of 42.5 thousand people. So that's car accidents. And then gun deaths, 46,728 people, somewhere around that number died. Well, at least that was the number in 2023. Something around 46.7 thousand. If you combine those would add up to more than 80,000, even if the number of air conditioning or lack of air conditioning caused deaths was 80,000. It's not true to say that there are more deaths caused by air conditioning or lack of air conditioning or
I'm assuming
bans. Hold on. Air conditioning bans. In both the deaths of car accidents and U.S. gun deaths combined. That is a false statement. I just wanted to point that out. I did the numbers.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying, Jason. It's good, but I think even though Homer may have used a little bit of hyperbole here, he still gets his point across, which is that especially like the idealism that is very, very prominent in the European culture, it serves nothing more than exacerbating the destruction of itself. Like if we talk about energy dependence, for example, which is you need it in order to survive, right? Especially if you live in the northern part of the world, you're going to everything is going to fail if you're not able to manage that properly. And then you compare it to China, where they are opening coal plants every fucking 2 weeks, and the farmers, they even though they live in a rural town, they air condition their pigs, while like 70-year-old grandmas in Spain are dying on the streets. So he points to a truth, even though the data is fudged a little bit. It points to an essential truth that we have to be realistic, and I understand Homer's point there, and I think America is smarter in managing these things. But the question I would pose, Homer, is: do the ends justify the means? If there's a benevolent cabal of people that have an understanding that we need stability in America, and then it doesn't matter what the peasants vote for, we're still going to agree that we have to do certain things for national security and to keep top position in the world. Does that mean then that you're supposed to just let fucking rich assholes fuck children? I don't know. I don't know if that's the most efficient way to solve this issue, and maybe that's where we differ, But I totally understand what you're saying, and I think it makes, like, gut feeling says it makes sense that it would be like that, because as you say, democracy is flawed because people are easily swayed, and they also tend to forget very quickly, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that's why I travel in Europe. I hate America, but then I travel in Europe and I love America. The more time I spend in Europe, the more I like America. And I just observe the voluntary poverty at every level of European society, and it's striking, and you can't see it unless you go back.
Go there.
The final thing I'll say is, in America, we have this incredible social pressure on billionaires to donate most of their money. So I don't know if you saw just today, Larry Ellison announced he's giving 80% of his money to Oxford University to build an institute to solve the future's problems. So that's something special about America, that Europe just does not have billionaires pressured to donate money the way we have in America. Respectfully, Al.
Yeah, no. I totally, like, again, Homer, I don't take it personally. I am a little bit of an America-phile in my leanings here. I understand the founding principles quite well, and I think it's the greatest document ever produced by mankind. And I am very sad that Europe has not adapted properly. Like, it seems like they did the French Revolution and then they just gave up after it. Yeah, it's very sad, but we'll see. I think it needs to reach critical mass. Really, I think you're going to have to reach a point where people are so fed up that populist movements are going to have to address these things for better or worse in order to actually affect change. Because at the moment it just seems like it doesn't matter what you vote for. Even the party that you were talking about before, Homer, my right-wing cuckoo party, essentially the MAGAs of Sweden, they got a lot of you should give the credit where credit is due. They actually affected the national conversation, and now people are, even the people that would cancel you 5 years ago, they are starting to actually admit that maybe this migration thing, maybe we actually need to actually help them at least integrate into society.
Yeah,
and not just
I have a different
agree.
view, Alex. I think I posted a link to a book called 1 Billion Americans. I would urge you to give up on Sweden and give up on Europe and
Just move to America.
Just move to America. If you read this book, which I recommend, it says that America should welcome all the super smart, thoughtful people in the world like you. We have space for 1 billion people, and I really believe in the book.
Yeah, I'll make sure to bookmark it so I can find it later on today. But you're probably right. And historically, that's the way it has worked, right? America has had a tremendous advantage in
The other advantage that you brought up is we still have the healthy birth rate, and you don't.
Yeah, also true. Also very true. And it's a big problem all over. And I think maybe that's finally what's going to be the nail in the coffin for China as well. The one-child policy has done tremendous damage to that country.
Well, respectfully, Europe will die many years before China, in my view. But I don't want to dominate the room. I'll let the moderator reset the room as he should.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to note sarcastically how Homer took over my room and then afterwards goes, I don't want to dominate the room. I'm going to let the moderator take his room back. Like, thanks, bro.
Don't worry, it was promised to him 3,000 years ago.
Guilty of hijacking the room. Very true.
No, but yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much more you guys want. I mean, it's only you two on stage, so there's not much room to share. I mean, I don't know how much meat are on the bones of the Epstein stuff.
But what does your gut say, Jason? What do you think? Like, if you were able to just speculate freely, what would be the point about this? Right? Do you think there?
I mean, it seems like there's two likely reasons. One is they overpromised and underdelivered. That's the best case. The worst case is that they're in on it now.
Yeah.
Those to me seem like the two most likely theories or explanations.
Yeah.
But I don't claim to know. These are just speculation.
Yeah, of course. But both are. One is of course clearly worse than the other, but the other one is not a good either. So it's like, yeah.
Well, I think the biggest irony would be if if it's the best case scenario, then it's the product of the GOPers putting their foot in their mouth and stringing a bunch of conspiracy theorist types along, only to realize that they have government interests in not divulging things in the way that they promised. So they were naive in presuming that the former administration had some nefarious purpose behind it. Meaning they were in on it. Now they're the victims of that kind of speculation. So I think that's kind of funny.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of
worst case scenario.
There's a lot of cases where the government keeps secrets for benevolent reasons. I'll give a very brief example. Like,
no, I'm aware of that. You don't have to give examples. I mean, if you want to, you can. But
the one is Saudi Arabian, right? The leader of Saudi Arabia cut apart his rival with a bone saw, essentially, and we've covered it up, and we forgive him for it. And it's good that we forgive him for cutting that guy up with a bone saw because it serves people.
A better example would be like if they have like confirmation or confirmed knowledge of the existence of aliens and they don't tell people because people will freak the fuck out. Like that would probably be a better example.
Yeah, that one is actually also very interesting, Jason, because I mean it gets to the heart of these long-running, cover-up stories, and for the longest time, people like Joe Rogan and all these, those types of people, they were branded as stupid and tinfoil and kind of schizophrenics, right? But now, increasingly the people representing the state have kind of admitted, or at least alluded to, that there are things there where previously it would have been discarded as just bullshit, right? Or stuff like that. So I've heard a couple of different kind of things, right? Either it's like high-level black projects by defense contractors like Boeing and stuff like that, right? And they're willfully using these adjacent stories to obfuscate what they actually have, which is smart. I'm not saying they should tell everyone exactly what they have, especially adversaries, right? But at the same time, I mean, doesn't the taxpayer have a right to know at least a little bit about what the hell is going on? Or should we just shut up and pay taxes and keep our heads down? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about this like years ago, but I kind of ended up settling on the idea that I do think that there are a range of things where a competent government would not release information to the general public because the general public's likely response will make matters worse. And so anything that fits that paradigm, I can kind of get behind the idea of like, yeah, we probably shouldn't just tell people everything. That said, it becomes a line drawing exercise. Like, what is the criteria for things that we shouldn't tell people versus things that, the American people deserve to know? And that shit gets tricky real fast. So if you have like maybe you have a scenario in which a particular politician or presidential candidate, let's say, would objectively be like really good for the country, but they're mired in some like scandal of some horrible thing that they did years ago, that if it got out, if the public knew, they wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah.
And the other person is so bad for the country, like objectively true, like not just based in people's political opinions and persuasion, but like let's say that there was a scenario where that was clearly true. Would it be in the best interest of the American public to not know about that scandal? And I came up with this in the context of trying to figure out like if there was any set of circumstances that could justify, say, hiding the Biden laptop or some shit. And that was kind of the best I could do, is like I came up with that scenario. And I'm actually ambivalent about how I feel about such scenarios.
Because I mean, it strikes at the heart of the American patriotism as well, or to an extent, like maybe I'm using the term wrong here, Jason, but I mean, like, what it means to be an American and being able to your pursuit of happiness and freedom and the support that you have and the love you have for your country, and then the people that you have placed in charge, or at least try to, right? Because the argument is also like, regardless of the person sitting in the Oval Office, there are also people that are not elected. They're just there, right? And whether or not those people have your best interest at heart or not, and I mean, I heard, I think this was like a couple of months ago, but the fact that the Russia collusion thing was something that we know wasn't real, it was fabricated, right? Is that, can we chalk it up to just political squabble, like it's the Democrats versus the Republicans, they're trying to fling shit on each other, or is it something more nefarious, something deeper? It's the same with what was his name, Watergate, what's the name of the president, Nixon, right? I had heard.
Well, no, that was true. Nixon.
No, I know it was true, but the reason behind it, that's why, because timing is also a little bit important, Jason. So what I heard recently was that yes, he absolutely did the things that he was accused of, but the reason he was outed, or that they tried to get, because the guy who wrote the article, that the guy, the journalists, what was the name of the journalist that did it?
You're talking about Woodward?
The one that, yeah. He had one job before getting, because he just entered journalism. He got the story, and he broke arguably one of the biggest stories of that century, right? Before he worked as a journalist, he was part of the intelligence community, right? So it's like, who would stand to benefit? And I recently heard that Nixon was questioning deeply the events surrounding the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and that's why they fucked him over. So I again, I have to find the sources to kind of prove this, or at least where I got it from. But I'm pretty sure that's what I heard, and that's why the entire scandal broke. If he was just playing ball, then nothing would probably have happened, right? If he just shut up and did his job and didn't, try to threaten the real rulers, then he would have been fine, essentially. But again, what are we really talking about here? Who are the people in charge? Who was running the country when Joe Biden didn't have a brain? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, once you give so one of the elements of it, because I'm kind of going back to what I was talking about before about how uncomfortable I am with the idea of the government having being able to basically not lie, but just hold information with the American people. Like, once you give them the green light, then you open up an avenue for all kinds of corruption. And it's like, the problem isn't that you can't come up with scenarios where it would be a good idea, is that you're then entrusting the government to make that decision. And that's the part where it's like, it's really hard to get by, because there's all these kind of politically motivated reasons for that kind of thing that aren't necessarily valid. And so, yeah, I mean, you have a lot of people who don't trust the government kind of by default. I don't blame them, to be honest, but it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
All of that. But the other thing that was like weird is the right wingers weren't, it was particularly the ones who were super gung-ho about the conspiracy theories. They weren't into all of that nuance before their guy got in office. Now they want to be all nuance. It's like, well, that's convenient.
Yes, and also very hypocritical. And I feel like it's very telling then, news that the people that actually have a backbone, they are not. They're taking kind of like the opposite stance to this, right? Like the Tuckers and the Matt Walshes and stuff like that.
Kelly to a certain extent.
Yeah. but the Team Pool and all these guys, man, the other, the Turning Point USA guy with I don't know,
Charlie Kirk.
yeah. Those are just, they're just bootlickers. That's what they are. I mean, it's sad, but I'm not surprised. So that should really tell you. But I think I read something just today, Muse, and I think maybe you can verify this. But apparently they're releasing, or they're proposing, like the Jeffrey Epstein Act now. That everything that is of interest to the American public that doesn't hurt national security, like including embarrassment and stuff like that, should not be redacted. They should release all the files, and then you get black on white who are the people that are going to vote against this, and then you get a list of people that are actively opposing the will of the American voters, right? So I think it's actually, maybe it won't do anything, but at least it will show you, on paper, who are the people that don't give a shit about you and what you want.
No, I mean, it's a political strategy, and it's not clear how effective it'll be. To your point, I agree, but it is promising as of now, because a lot of people really care about that shit, and a lot of Trump's vote base specifically cares about it. And so, if you want to chip away at that base of voters, that's an effective way potentially to do it.
Yeah. So I think maybe he doesn't care because he knows it's the last term, right? So he just does whatever he needs to do, and then people will judge him after it, But he has nothing to lose personally. But it's interesting to see what the damage is going to be for the entirety of the Republican Party. What will happen after this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm intrigued by it, is the political baseball of it all. But I think to me it just kind of affirms one of the reasons why I'm jaded about politics is that both sides are full of shit. They're just trying to stay in power or gain power to the extent they don't have it. I don't think any Democrats really care about any of this shit, to be honest with you. I think they care about it to the extent that it helps them get power back from them.
Yeah, agreed. But we have new people in the room, Muse. So I'm gonna shut up now. But thank you so much for the exchange. I think you all of you have very good points so far. So,
yeah. So Steve, what's up, FGK?
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I think you're dead on. I voted for Trump, and he wasn't the person I voted for in the primary, though. I mean, I didn't vote for him in the primary. In the general, I voted for him. But I like you said, this just exposes the fact that powerful people a lot of times have a lot of interconnections, and power becomes the most intoxicating drug that they can consume. And when it comes to them and the people around them maintaining and collecting power, they'll like you said, Democrats and the Republicans are the same on this, man. If you think we as a Republican or we as a Democrat has anything in common with the people pulling the levers of power, you're delusional.
What's up, MGK? Did you want to comment as well?
Sure. I'd say, look, I'm probably still in the process of the process of trying to process all this stuff. It's sort of, it's very intriguing to me. And, look, even though I am MAGA, right, I'm not too, at no point was I ever, like, bloodthirsty about how we need the list and things like that. But it's like, it is interesting with the way that it was sort of presented, and well, sure, maybe this is probably likely just playing political football with the sort of materials and information that you have at your disposal, right? So it's like the way it's sort of been presented, whether by Trump himself, or just, folks that line up on the right, I think it's how can I put it? What it sort of the frenzy that it's turned into. So all of a sudden, sort of, you know, how quickly we're trying to dismiss it. It's sort of, that's interesting to me. To me, it's like, did they talk out of their ass and did they overpromise and are going to end up under delivering, or is it actual cover-up? Right, and sort of, and it's like at this point, it's like I have a lot of things that are on the table that I'm thinking about. Like one thing that's it's sort of silly that I've been thinking about is sort of doubling down on a conspiracy theory, right? But it's like, look, in my defense, I feel like, look, at this point, it might be plausible. Who knows? Crazy things happen. But I was thinking, I don't know. Well, let's say, because look, I think what's been happening is there's some confusion. Because on one end, it's like, okay, there's a list, right? But is it this flight log people were talking about, which I do think parts of those have definitely been released, or is it this client list, which I'm not sure if we're sure exists, but if it does, I was thinking about this the other day. It's like, okay, let's say it's as big of a cover up as we think it is. It's like, you would think that if they were to get rid of anything, it would probably be the most damning documents that are around, and I think that's even more likely, if that's the case, that they would do that than like just to kill Jeffrey Epstein. It's like you went through all the work to kill the guy, which takes an incredible amount of research, at least if it goes down how many people think, which is, you know, an inside job, someone took him out. It's like, it'd be way easier to get rid of the client list. So could it be a thing where, you know, they were all dandy about this thing, and they come to find out that it's really only just the flight logs, which is something, but it's not the same because it doesn't, you know, directly implicate somebody as, you know, this is the person that likes, you know, having sex with minors and things like that. So it's like, or is it, do we think it's, they have the list, they're just covering it up? And I think, if I'm going to be as fair as I can be, I would say I'm actually not sure. So, and that's really what I meant about still in the process of processing, you know, all the information and things like that. So that's probably where I'm at. But I would say, you know, I think it's been handled very poorly, regardless of, you know, if they truly have the client list and are covering it up, or if they were over-promising and just end up under-delivering.
Well, you know, yeah, I think there's a lot more in flight logs. I mean, Epstein, if he has this set up and he's doing what he's doing, you know the guy's got to be paranoid. So if you're paranoid about the people you're dealing with and the things that are going on, the first thing you're going to try and do is get some kind of protection. And the protection would be video of these guys actually doing what they're doing. And that'd be your leverage to keep the guy from knocking you off, you know. So I think there's a lot more there, the extent and scope. But, you know, one of the things that occurred to me, because this cuts across, you know, Democratic and Republican administrations, is there some kind of like shadow kind of control of the government of powerful people that are compromised that is pulling the strings now? Because like who's FBI director, Kash Patel, when he came out, when Kash came out and was giving his little spiel one day, I can't remember, it's been a while back, this guy looked like someone that had been taken in a back room and been shaken down. Like, dude, this is what you're going to say, and you're going to say it this way, and that's going to be the end of it. He had that wide-eyed, deer in the headlights look that, it's almost like he's gauging every word. And
And
what occurred to me at that time, who in the world would have the kind of power to take someone at that level and shake them up that badly? You know what I'm saying? That was disturbing to me.
How much is Pfizer?
You know, as for Trump, I think what he's doing, I think he's just like, I think he's probably just mostly taking the word of like, you know, the intelligence that he's getting. Right, so, you know, at least look, this is what I think might be going on. I can imagine Donald Trump just like getting briefed by a Kash Patel, a Pam Bondi or whatever, right? And then sort of telling him that, yeah, it looks like he killed himself. Maybe this is nothing, there's nothing here. And Trump goes with that. He's like, why are you guys still talking about this? This is old stuff, right? And I think at least it seems plausible, right? Because the people that have more knowledge of it of his administration are making these claims, and it's also the fact that look, Trump's like, I think he's 80, right? It's sort of also understandable that he doesn't have like a pulse on like the immediate you know, the wind of the culture when it blows, even though he's shown that he's very good at it. It's I think in some instances he definitely it makes sense that he's not as on it. But I do think just a couple of days ago that after him sort of saying something like, I can't believe we're still talking about this, he also said that Pam Bondi should release more files too. So he's sort of doing this. I think he's picking up on it slowly that yeah, a good portion of his base is yeah, they're just not going to shut up about it, which is which actually, like, as a someone that's voted for Trump voted twice, not in the same election, that's illegal, guys. No voter for Trump, but you know, that's voter fraud bad.
Well, you know, this could cost him, if this gets out of control, this could cost him big time in the midterms. If he loses a bunch of seats in the midterms, he's basically done for the rest of his presidency. So he's got to get a handle on this thing one way or the other. He's in trouble in the midterms. I know there's a lot of Republicans that are not happy right now, and you get a disaffected base, they're not going to turn out, and you're going to get smoked in the midterms.
You're gonna be pissed.
You know, I wouldn't even be surprised if this is the imagination of my mind, so it's not real. There's no evidence of it. It's retarded, right? But hey, it wouldn't be that crazy if they were like, yeah, we do have these Epstein files stuff, but hey, we could be the administration that drops all the files right before the midterms and you know, use it as leverage. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the political calculus.
Well, then why wouldn't they drop them now? I think that might cost them in the long run.
Yeah.
If they can drop them at all, they should have did that.
Do you think there's video, Jason? I think there's video of powerful people that guy took, and he had stored somewhere. And I forget that woman that was working with him. If they didn't find it all, I bet they strung arming her for the location of it.
I mean, allegedly there's video. It's been described as video that entails child pornography. Somebody's having sex with the children. So, I don't know, bro. Like, there's video. There may be video of powerful people. If that's the case, they can't show that because like that would be to show child pornography. Like, can you imagine like the FBI leaked the R. Kelly tapes? Like that would be totally illegal.
Yeah.
And the distribution of that, by the way, online would be illegal too, by private actors. So like, they're not wrong about that part of it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's just speculation. I'm not really a big fan of speculation. I'll do it if people want me to, but I'm not really. I just don't fucking know, and I'm cool with not knowing. Like, it's just the reality. I think that whatever it takes to get justice to the victims, I will be in support of that. Insofar as it's reasonable and consistent with the law.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They're, you know, but again, I think this whole thing just points to there's a class of people that operate outside the rules that most of us have to live under, and they just laugh at us.
They're called MAGA.
No, dude, it's not MAGA. It's if you think it's one political party, you're not looking at it straight. You know, George Soros. You think George Soros is MAGA? You think he operates under the same rules that me and you operate? Come on.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Jason? You want to know what I think, Steve? I think there's a massive cover-up. I think there's things there that Donald Trump don't want the world to see. I think the man was murdered in prison, okay? Because you need a perfect storm for this guy to kill himself. Security guards, CEOs falling asleep, cameras miraculously just not working on the same night that they fall asleep. And here's the thing I don't understand. On both sides, I mean, Republicans, Democrats, it don't matter. If they want to cover it up, they're going to cover it up. But anything that could possibly paint Donald Trump, MAGA comes to his defense. Like, wait a second, dude, there's no need to release this. And this bullshit, release it. Because, by the way, that was one of his campaign promises, that he was going to release these files. So, let's step up, do it, and I think this is going to tarnish his legacy, which I believe he's trying to fix. But release the tapes, release the file.
I think that JB, I think he's getting a fracturing in the MAGA base from this. I don't think all of them's going along with him. I mean, I voted in the general for Trump. The primary, I didn't vote for Trump in the primary, but you know, this is something. It's a bridge too far for me.
Once again, Steve, we all grew up with if it walks like a duck, it flaps like a duck, it's a duck. So this man's in one of the most secure prisons in America, where they do suicide watch, where they walk by every 10 to 15 minutes to check on it. Because there's inmates that do that, by the way, they get paid to do that. And the cameras don't work, the cops fall asleep, they change the log. So, I don't know, to me it seems like, I'm not a conspiracy person, but all the pieces fit.
Well, they call that Occam's razor. Yeah, I mispronounced it. Sorry. Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know, maybe the next 6 months, if these things don't change, that Bondi's forced to resign, take the bullet for Trump, because that's what MAGA does.
Yeah, but JB, you know, under Biden, they had access to the same thing. So I think this thing's bigger than political parties. I think we're talking about the elite power brokers that operate outside political parties.
Hey, Steve, you might be right. I don't know, man. I know that this guy Epstein was a mediocre student at best when he was in college. I think he lost his job at Bear Stearns. You know, somebody can fact check that. How this guy garnered so many billions of dollars and got all these powerful people around him, and now they're saying there's no list? Come on. What's up, Andre?
Hey, JB, what's up?
I think it's called leverage in JB. You can do a lot of things with leverage.
Hey, Stevie. One man's leverage is another man's blackmail.
Yeah, there you go, man. I mean, that's all I see here, JB. Like he's talking about the prison. Who has the power and the influence? Now you think about this to pull something like that off, and I think it was pulled off. But can you imagine the influence and power you'd have to pull that off? It's well beyond anything we could do.
There's a whole plethora of possibilities. There's the CIA, the FBI, Mossad, English intelligence. Just pick one. Put all the names in the hat, pull it out, you're probably right.
Are you guys discussing whether it's morally permissible to use blackmail as means of achieving your goals?
Depends on whose morals you ask. Look what happened to Prince Andrew.
Well, I mean, being the moral realist, I would say it's objectively it would not be a good thing. But regardless of the, pink unicorn heaven that you're trying to build.
Well, I think when you get to this level of power and influence, I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say that's actually a good question. I don't know. I'm ambivalent about the moral status of blackmail. That's interesting.
I don't think morality at that level has anything to do with anything. I don't think there is any morals. I think there's power, influence, and leverage. And I think that's the only driving factors.
I think there are clear-cut cases where I would say it's wrong. I don't know that it's wrong full stop. That's what I'm having trouble with.
Well, Steve, let me ask you a question. Sorry, Andre. Let me just ask this question. See, what's more morally contemptible? Blackmail or grown men sleep with underage girls? What's worse, do you think?
I think one would do the other, but I think sleeping with an underage girl. Blackmail would depend on what your objective was. I mean, if I blackmailed someone to keep them from donating to feed 100 starving children and got them not to do that, that'd be pretty bad.
To me, the clearest cases of blackmail being wrong are blackmailing someone to do a wrong thing. I think those are the clearest cases. If you blackmailed someone to do something they should have done anyway, I'm less clear on what's wrong with that, other than the presence of some form of manipulation of their will. That might be the source of the wrong in some way. But I don't think that coercion is inherently wrong. So insofar as blackmail counts as a type of coercion, then I might treat it the same. But maybe it's something along the lines of you don't have the official authority to leverage the coercion.
But wouldn't coercion qualify?
What?
Wouldn't qualify
You're in the matrix, Andre. Andre, in the matrix, Andre.
I didn't hear your question because you were in the matrix, dude.
Sorry, can you hear me?
No, I just said I think you're right, Jason, in your analysis there.
Well, my analysis is incomplete. I'm speculating. I'm thinking out loud. But go ahead, Andre, say it again. Andre, you there?
Yeah, I just lowered my quality of my audio. It is better. I'm saying that wouldn't coercion qualify as some sort of deception? So you're not releasing full information to individual, and therefore you're taking advantage of his.
No. Coercion is not. coercion doesn't have to be deceptive. So, for example, if I'm a parent and I coerce my child into doing something that they should do, like eat their vegetables, that doesn't involve deception at all. Eat your vegetables or you don't get your allowance. Eat your vegetables or you're going to be doing chores for a week. Something like that. That's coercion. But we would think, most of us would think that's a justified form of coercion because the goal is to induce behavior that is conducive to what they ought to do anyway.
Didn't they just try to do that to Diddy? The sex trafficking charge, they said it was coercion.
Well, no, that's different from the case I just gave. But
So
I was giving just an example of a form of coercion I think most of us would accept as like morally good. Like we wouldn't say it's bad that I made my child eat the vegetables. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think in this instance, like it gets a little bit more complex because what you're doing is you're withholding information from the public, so the public has a completely wrong perception of the individual, and you
right. So just to be clear, I wasn't taking a position. I was saying.
Oh no! I totally understand.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard because I'm trying to figure out like
where the line in the sand is, basically.
Yeah, but what are the principles though at the base level? Like I'm not against coercion in general because of cases like what I just said, but I am against clear cases. So like, if I coerced you to murder my wife because I got some dirt on you, I feel like that's a clear case of coercion being bad. And one of the reasons why, at the very least, is because I coerced you to do a thing you ought not have done ever in the first place.
So then coercion is not in question. It's the goal that is in question. So whichever.
Yeah, but it's more complicated by the fact that the coercion consists of the omission of information. So like, now we're adding things.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
But, okay, so the famous case was, with not telling the Nazi that you're hiding your Jewish neighbor, would that be the type of coercion that would be accepted?
I don't even know that that's coercion. I do think that's acceptable. I'm pure Kantian on this.
Oh no, that's what you're like. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just deception, isn't it?
No, because you don't owe them that information, so you don't have to tell them that information. So on in some level, I think that there are cases that I could come up with. One of them would be the famous Kant case, where you can omit information and be totally cool morally, like particularly like when it comes to divulging private information that the person who wants the information is just not authorized to have access to. I think those are clear-cut cases in which not giving them the information they want is morally fine. Like, actually, it could be immoral to give them the information, particularly if you had good reason to think that they had nefarious intent with that, to use that information. Like, you knew or you had reason to suspect that they were going to use that information to then blackmail someone else. Like, and you participated in that. Like, it could be immoral to give them the information. So, like, that's what makes all this just complicated. So now I'm thinking about principles about when it's moral to withhold information, and I'm combining that with when it's moral to coerce people. And the shit's complicated by all of these factors. Then you have another layer of it is like the relationship of like government officials to constituents, and like to what extent do government officials owe information to constituents, to certain types of information that they clearly can't tell people publicly, like private information. But then there's types of information where like it's probably in the best interest of the public to know, like, hey, there's a global fucking pandemic unfolding. Don't go outside and join in super spreader events. Like, can you imagine if the government knew that COVID was spreading, but they didn't say shit? Like, we would consider that woefully immoral and not in the interest of public health at all, because a lot of people could die as a result of withholding that information. So like, shit's getting in, like all of these layers in terms of my brain and then analyzing these things is like, it's hard to put them all together in a way that's like principled.
Yeah, now one of the things, that we're talking about here, that it would be hard for me to walk down that tree of exceptions and find anything that I could possibly tag on this Epstein episode. When I look up and down the possibilities of things that's going on there, I just see really dirty hands all the way up and down. And unless I'm missing something, I very well may be.
Are you talking about the Epstein thing? As far as dirty hand?
Yeah, I mean, motivation, who's doing what for what motivation, what leverage someone may be gaining out of it. There's hardly anything in this whole episode that I can find mentally as I walk through it that would be something where someone isn't motivated by something really sinister and dark.
Yo, Black, did you guys go over the Howard Lutnick thing?
I don't know what you're talking about. I assume not.
Yeah, our Secretary of Commerce, he was alongside Trump when he was talking ad nauseum, as he does, about how much we should stop talking about Epstein. And somebody had pointed out how, our current Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, was Epstein's neighbor in the past, in the very recent.
What does that mean?
I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
Are you being tongue in cheek, or are you saying seriously?
I mean, partially, it could be a coincidence, but then, it could also be a coincidence that Anthony Blinken's father was Robert Maxwell's lawyer. Like, there seems to be a trend here of people having associates in high positions close to the scandal, but no actual progress being made on bringing to justice the perpetrators of said scandal. So it's like convenient placement of these figures, considering they have potential implication in the scandal.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that conspiracy theorists kind of take, I think, and run with a little too much. But there's like an intricate, like, you can. It's just an embodiment of uncareful thinking. But if you want to take that approach, you can just like create a web of associations between people who are high in the government and people who are affiliated in some way with Epstein, and those would be, I guess, the list of suspects. But the connections are so loose that you're really depending on implication as opposed to anything kind of like actionable. And that looseness is what I would criticize. Like, just because I happen to live next door to Jeffrey Epstein doesn't mean I was in on his weird criminal lane, bro. Like, I feel like that's obviously true. It's possible that the connection goes deeper and maybe he was implicated in some way, but nothing about having been his neighbor like indicates that. So that's the looseness that this is why I don't like doing conspiracy theories, because that's just bad reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, if we're rating on the logic of like stripping any type of suspicion until there's hard evidence presented, especially at a time where hard evidence is being suppressed, then we might as well not be suspicious of it.
I'm not saying that. You can be as suspicious as you want to. I'm saying that the suspicion isn't a substitute for like an actual actionable connection.
For sure, I would agree. That's a responsible way to take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, suspicions are fine. I think some suspicions are more grounded than others, though. But yeah, suspicions are fine. I mean, part of what I would criticize is the really, really not well-grounded suspicions. It's just like, I don't think those are justified either. I think some suspicions are more warranted.
Well, I guess I would ask, would you consider the connection stated as a would you say a groundable or a reasonable?
Just merely being the neighbor of someone who did a crime is not.
Well, being the neighbor and then being the Secretary of Commerce for the person that's leading the charge on suppressing any type of suspicion having to do with, like, standing right next to him as he's saying this thing.
No, I mean
that does nothing to elevate the suspicion.
No.
Well, I think it
does to an uncareful mind, though. But to a careful mind, no. There's nothing about the fact that a person used to be the neighbor of Jeffrey Epstein, and then subsequent to that, and completely unrelated to that, as far as we know, became the Secretary of Commerce. Right? Like, there's
there's dots that need to be connected for that suspicion to be reasonable that have not been established. If you have more information, then give it to me. I mean, I think that there's a scenario I can think of where the connection would be more viable, but as is, as you've described it, it's not enough.
No, yeah, it's not merely his position that is the main motivator of raising the suspicion for me. Is more so him, of all people, being the only person next to Trump as he's saying, like, hey guys, we really gotta stop talking about this bullshit. This is nonsense. Y'all gotta stop. You know, so anybody that's standing next to him, I think, regardless of if they were in Epstein's neighbor or not, to me would warrant some type of suspicion.
Did he interact in any like real way with Epstein? Is there any evidence of that? Were they friends? Did they have vacation together? Like those would make the connection stronger, right? Things like that. Like if the mere fact that they were neighbors, like let's say there's no evidence that they ever interacted as neighbors, like that, then the connection becomes strained.
No, I think it would be.
The thing I'm advocating for is careful reasoning, and this is why I don't like conspiracy theorizing. However, I do understand people's inclinations for connecting dots. So I'll acknowledge, like, okay, I can see why you would think that or associate these things, but I would object on these bases, and then I would just leave it at that. Like I wouldn't say, aha, so therefore it's false. I'd just be like, well, I mean, you might be right, unbeknownst to me. I have no idea, but this is why I would make that suspicion. That's all I'm saying.
But like when it comes to like the Anthony Blinken's connection to Epstein, would you say that that's a slightly more reasonable suspicion than simply being?
What is Anthony Blinken's connection to Epstein?
So his stepfather Samuel Passar was Robert Maxwell's lawyer.
Was Robert Maxwell's lawyer?
Yeah, and Robert, as you know, is Ghislaine's father.
Okay, so then. Okay.
So those Epstein and Robert Maxwell's shared tie to the Israeli government would be the connection there.
Shared tie to the Israeli government? Anthony Blinken is not.
No. Robert and Epstein.
Wait, what? Wait. Sorry. I'm taking a step back because I'm trying to factor in the connection to the Israeli government part. Where that's new. That's a new thing that you've introduced. I'm not clear how that fits in everything.
Wait, are you unsure about Robert Maxwell's involvement with the Israeli government, or is that like?
No, I didn't know anybody. So okay, this is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad is involved with the Israeli government in what capacity?
I believe he was a spy for Mossad, if I'm not mistaken, if I have the information correct.
He was a spy for members. So is he an American citizen?
No, I don't think so.
Is he an Israeli citizen?
I believe so. Let me pull up. Let me fact check.
Okay.
I think that kind of has the same problems as the previous connection. It's hard to directly connect the dots.
I'm trying to understand everything before I make a judgment. I don't.
Right.
I've never heard of this stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, as far as the neighbor thing, if the neighbor became the head of the FBI, it'd make me think a little more than becoming Commerce Secretary, because FBI director could actually be in a place to actually suppress commerce. I'm not sure how much leverage you have over the Justice Department of Commerce.
I mean, yeah, but I guess it would depend on several things, in my opinion. And I'm like, the objective here is to be careful in your reasoning and to be as fair as like reasonably, as reason allows you to be to people, and not presume things or lead to conclusions. That's what being careful in your reason consists of. So that's what I'm trying to take into account all of the facets and see if could a reasonable person come to a certain conclusion without any kind of errors in reasoning or fallacies.
Yeah, I agree.
A lower standard would be reasonable suspicion. So then what you would do is acknowledge that you can't lead to the conclusion, but you have enough information to like justify a reasonable suspicion that something may be the case that you can't prove. That's a lower standard, but that's, so that's, I'm trying to be very explicit about the two different levels.
Right. Yeah, I think your second where you're talking about reasonable suspicion is about as close as anyone can get with anything right now. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, so far, based on what I've heard, I mean, maybe there's things I don't know that I haven't heard yet that you can take into account.
Just a quick clarification on the on his origins. He's Czech. He's Czech-born, and he was a British media exec, accused of being a Mossad agent.
Okay, all right. I'm not sure how to factor that into the rest of the stuff.
Well, I guess the common argument is the reason that Epstein is not brought to justice is because of protection of Israeli. Or at least that's as far as I understand it.
But he's not Israeli.
No, not at all.
So is the presumption or the suspicion that members of the Israeli government are implicated by Epstein?
Yeah, so the presumption is that members of the Israeli government are implicated in the trafficking ring that Epstein was participating in.
Okay. And Anthony Blinken fits into that how?
His father-in-law was Ghislaine's father's lawyer.
Okay. So why based on that connection with Anthony Blinken, I guess, be in on it?
Well, no, not that he's in on it, but that he has a connection, and that is more of a connection than the average person. And because of this connection, any sympathies he could have towards that cause could be exploited by people who are seeking to advance. So, like, remember, your pops was with us. And he's like, yeah, word.
But this is
here's $1 million. Yeah.
Okay, so, like, the blackmail ability would consist of they threaten to ruin his stepfather in some way, and so that they get his compliance?
No, the blackmail would be way simpler than that. It would just be take this money and shut up while we do what we need to do.
Or else
we don't give you this money.
Okay, well then why mention all the other stuff? What role is his relationship to the stepfather, who was the lawyer, playing in all of this?
Yeah, it's just a commonly speculated on connection on the ways in which these connections could have could be some type of evidence for an allegiance to
Okay, but the connection you described seems superfluous to getting him to comply with this stuff. That's why I'm confused by its role. But
yeah, I mean I'm posing these points of popular, like, things that people have popularly identified with his connections, just to offer what are the things that are people saying. I'm not saying any of it to be like, oh, this is why we know that Anthony Blinken is this. You know, I'm just giving the information that is commonly speculated on, right? Like like even the Alex Jones interview, he was talking about Robert Maxwell's suspicious death and all these things. So
I get what you're doing. I'm just trying to make sense of it all and trying to be careful with my reasoning about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you asked me a question, you might want to repeat it at this point. You don't think that Anthony Blinken something was the question? Do you remember the question?
Yeah, I forget it.
Well, I mean, to me, based on what you said, the connection between Anthony Blinken and either Ghislaine Maxwell or Jeffrey Epstein seems spurious and loose. So I don't think much of it. I don't know that there's anything we can glean from the fact that the stepfather of Anthony Blinken was Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer. But maybe I'm missing something.
Well, you know, Jason, here's one thing. If you really wanted to get to the truth, Congress, what's that chick that's in jail right now that worked with Epstein? What's her name? Is that Maxwell girl?
Yeah, his wife.
Yeah, just bring her in, give her full immunity, and say you're going to commute the sentence. And if you get full immunity, you can't claim the fifth, and you're obligated to tell everything you know, or you can be prosecuted again and your immunity can be taken away. And just tell her, okay, what do you know? Lay it out.
Yeah, the Republicans are actively blocking that, which is hilarious.
Why would they spend?
The Dems are actually actively trying to pursue precisely that, and the Republicans are actively blocking it.
I don't get that. I don't get that at all. I mean, I don't know how they think this makes them look good in any way.
Oh, it doesn't. It makes them look horrible, which is why the Dems are taking full advantage.
What do you guys mean, man? It's been such a great 6 months. I don't understand why people keep talking about this Epstein stuff, man. Like, just let it go, man. It's like a non.
I mean, he's done some good things. With Trump, I think the biggest problem he had, number one, his hubris towards Putin and what he thought he could do with Putin. And Putin leveraged that hubris to make him look like an idiot. And then he tried to throw too many balls in the air that was really complicated stuff and tried to do them simultaneously and couldn't focus on one thing to get it really down pat. So I think he threw too many balls in there that had too many complicating factors to do well. Yeah, but I think he's got some things done. A complete success, no. But yeah, I think he just bit off more than he could chew in lots of cases.
So
I mean, if it was nothing to worry about, like, what is, I guess, in the best case scenario where Democrats or Republicans are not implicated in this list, like, what is the problem?
you fuckers off of Medicaid, and even with this Epstein shit, I mean, he's fucking worthless. He cupped it to Israel and bombed Iran just because, a bunch of whiny, I'm not even gonna get into it. I mean, it's just like pathetic. He's not even being America first, and he hasn't been.
I just want to say, is he worse than the alternative? I think what Alan is saying makes sense. The Democrats, does anybody believe the Democrats would have released the Epstein files?
I got the two Jewish-controlled candidates, so we get to. We have to.
Let's not do the Jewish.
Let me respond to you.
It's like you meet a girl.
He's
got a nice set of tits. He's got a nice ass. Okay?
Come on, look at his chicken clothes,
pretty good in bed, but she doesn't swap.
And of course, I'm gonna sort of fresh mozzarella.
It's kind of a disappointment,
If the milk doesn't come out,
you'll get
it ain't fresh. Come on, bro. Maybe it's a PepsiCo challenge. Do you remember the PepsiCo challenge?
Now it's time to add the roasted red peppers fresh every day.
I remember it. I believe what the first
I've heard you too many analogies.
And honestly, the finishing touch. The reality is,
I mean, Kamala would have been worse. The border would have, who knows how much worse it would have got. You probably would have still got floods as third worlders. But at least it, I don't know. I mean, maybe things needed to, really go downhill a good bit more.
You get a different type of World Economic Forum policy, right? But Trump under sort of the Palantir group is issuing in the fucking digital surveillance future, So which one do you want? Which type of World Economic Forum do you want?
And you know what?
The female one or the meal one?
Yeah, and you know what, Mister, that is the adult and realistic way to look at it. Look, from my viewpoint, okay, I had a kid going through the public school system. That tranny woke shit was everywhere. I still have it because it was that outrageous. I still have a newsletter from his middle school where there was a whole section for the gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, quote, kids, where they're telling him, if you don't know if you're a boy or a girl, you don't have to decide now. All right? That was a kind of pivotal issue for me for a variety of
reasons.
My thing element is that, like, you know, F1's becoming more popular in recent years.
God damn, are we going more like analogies, and after analogy, after you guys keep on going?
No, this is a fact.
No, my last thing wasn't an analogy.
In Formula One and a lot of sports to advertise cigarette companies, right? So they'll literally just put like a weird symbol so you know it's Marlboro. They'll change the name from, there used to be a company called Benson and Hedges, and they change it to Buzzing Hornets. They changed the name of the F1 team, right? Everybody knew what it was, but they banned it because in case it influenced people to smoking, right? Oh my god, you can't promote it, right? But they literally put the fucking, like, the loudspeaker everywhere, 24/7 on the fucking overhead loudspeaker, promoting tranny fucking propaganda to everyone. And it's like, oh well, it's not there to influence, you know, it's bullshit. It's utter bullshit. It's there by definition.
We still have Benson Hedges here in the States. We still
I know, but you're not, what I'm saying in the advertisement, right? So on the F1 cars, you're not allowed those, right, in the F1 schemes, because it was like the cigarette packetiers in Europe, they all have to have this huge fucking label on it that says may cause death and bullshit, you know? In case some person didn't know.
This is kind of going off topic. I'll just say something really short. This is kind of how I operate. First of all, if you read something like the news, you consume any media online, just look at the last name, maybe the early life history, and I literally don't watch those people deliberately because they do try to inject things that do not matter to Americans, and they're very, you know, there's no reason to trust them.
They're porn spies.
Well, I'm not saying that, I disavow.
Richard Nixon said it.
But, you know, you're free to consume what you want to consume. There's nothing racist or anti-Semitic if you don't want to watch their content.
The thing that I'm telling you is, if you believe what I believe, you don't even need to believe their argument section. Like,
Luke, I mean, I think that there's something to what Mr. is saying. I guess the question is, what do we do about it? Okay, all the candidates are controlled by the Jews, or by Israel. Sure, let's say it's true. Okay, but there are still some differences between the candidates. And I think I am sympathetic with Alan here, where he's saying, basically the Democrats went way too far. And so we kind of needed to, beat them back a little bit. And that's the choice that we have, but it is the choice that we have.
But those two choices, if that's like heading in the same direction, one of them's going 100 miles an hour, the other one's just doing the speed limit. Like, at some point you have to reject the whole thing, right? At some point, like in 1776, you have to kick over the fucking table, right? Like, at some point, it's going to become too much.
Do you really think Jews have that much power and control in America?
How is it that this conversation, you can't, Pepe, you are like resistant and reluctant.
I'm not resistant. I've been talking to neo-Nazis. You're very similar to them.
No. In this.
But I don't have. But I've been having these conversations for years, and
I'm not. That's fine. But what I'm trying to say is simply in this conversation alone, you have found yourself resistant in case it became too much of a dominant part of the topic or whatever. But yet they, by their own admission, I saw a clip just this morning of a Bibi Netanyahu saying, we are 1/10 of 1% of the world population. How the fuck is it that they're involved in every little fucking thing, bro? How? It's not the fucking Scientologists.
Well, I think that there's it's a little bit overestimated the level of control they have.
Hey, Daddy, I have a question for you, and I want to ask, and this question is on behalf of myself and maybe others. Anderson, what is your background, if you don't mind me asking? Because you're clicking on you don't have anything to say.
Yes, I know.
You basically have 32 friends, and you have no bio. So you're a great conversationalist. Listen to me for a second. I'm not a Jew, bro. No, I'm not a Jew. I'm actually a fucking 8th generation American. Anderson, the problem is that you divert and you can't shut the fuck up when I speak. No, Anderson, you need to shut the fuck up when people speak to you. You like to fucking interrupt. No, hold on a second, Anderson. Who are you? Why don't you give a little background? Why don't you educate the whole entire stage on who you are and where your spending comes from? See, divert.
I mean, however he has, but I know. I've talked to him quite a bit. We don't agree on everything, but he's you know, if he doesn't want to tell where he's from,
he can give us a little
on his beliefs.
insight. He can give us insight without giving us some light, like any of us can.
Relevance does that add to the topic?
Well, I want to know what makes you so fucking relevant in what you say. You can speak great. Hillary Clinton can speak great. Why don't you explain where you come from? I'd like to know where you come from.
Well, the thing is, though, is that okay, but the thing is a lot of people like think they have similar beliefs as Mister, and so as you guys know, I don't really like. I mean, I'll let pretty much people with the most offensive opinions come on my stage, and I'll speak with them. So, I mean, if that offends you, I don't know what the fuck. You guys obviously come back, you know, week after week when I drop the N-bomb. So, I mean, you can go fuck yourselves.
Well, I mean, no disregard, no disrespect to you, Anderson. I do appreciate your voice on stages. I just wanted to understand you a little bit more.
Well,
I mean, I appreciate your voice.
Okay, it's irrelevant to the topic.
So you want me to send you a private message in the back channel?
Whatever you want to do, but it's irrelevant to the topic.
So, well, I think
I don't want it. No, we don't have to do this. Let's just change. I don't want to.
No, nobody has to get there. I appreciate authenticity, Pepe. That's all I'm saying.
He's obviously from the British. He's obviously from the British Isles. He obviously has some strong opinions about Jews in Israel. That's fine. So we don't need to know more.
Yeah, I mean, people keep thinking I'm Jewish because of my bio, because I have a Jewish flag in my bio. I support. Okay, well, some people have. Okay, so I'm just telling you what's happened on Clubhouse. And
you guys are whining. You guys are now whining as much as Jews. This is ironic.
I'm part of Jewish, but I have friends in all places. You know, there's a country song about that.
Yeah.
Low places, high places, every place. I got lots of friends.
Pepe.
Yeah.
But both Pepe and Mr. Maybe you know about this. I put the link to indivisible.org. The first one I did wasn't correct. The second one is. I mean, when you ask, why isn't Trump doing everything he said? That's the first link, because if you go to their resources and their quote guide to opposing Trump, it states literally everything that they're doing. Their whole tactic is to either stop or delay through lawfare. And then I'm going to put a link to this other YouTube channel, which is from a lawyer, where like everything that's going with Abrego Garcia and, you know, the judge saying, turn this plane around, telling Trump he needs to turn the plane around. He goes over every single document that the Trump files, that the rulings that the judges do, and I've been watching it off and on for months. It is the reason why Trump is not able to do everything that he wants to do. If Trump had been unfettered, there would have been a lot more illegals removed from this country. But they are literally tripping him up with all of these district court judges. And Trump knowing, and the administration knowing that if he goes outside the law, that then the Democrats will say, oh, and they're saying it anyways, oh, he's breaking he's not following the Constitution. It's a constitutional crisis. He doesn't believe in the rule of law and all of that. He knows that will happen. But he also knows he's got a majority on the Supreme Court. And all they're doing, all it is, it's a delay tactic. So, for example, with that whole thing of, if you thought, well, I won't go into specific case, but if you watch this guy's videos, you will see that some judge will make some nationwide ruling, and then Trump will appeal it. Then it goes back down to the court, and then the judge finds some other bullshit reason why he shouldn't act.
So it holds everything up, basically.
Yeah, it gums up the works. Yeah, but when you watch it, you will also get the sense that while Trump is not, it seems like he's not doing everything that he said he would do. He actually is. It's the Democrats who are fucking him up. But as these things work through the court, that eventually it's working out in his favor.
But it's also just cringe. I mean, I don't know. A lot of the stuff he's doing, like, I mean, even you have my sympathies, okay, like Jewish students not being able to go to class. The last I heard, there was no, like, serious assaults of Jewish students. I could be wrong, but it's just like, these kids were allowed to say anti-white and anti-American shit all the fucking time on college campuses. Now, when they do it to a foreign country, it's like, wrap them up, send them away, gotta deport them. And, you know, they want to make stupid laws saying they can't say shit that's quote-unquote anti-Semitic, just vague. And it's just, I don't know, it's just like, he's basically, that's like when the campus protests after October 7th, that's kind of like when wokeism died. And now all of a sudden you had, you know, a lot of very outspoken, powerful, and wealthy people say, like, you know, turn against wokeism. But it's like they're still kind of being woke themselves. You know, they're still doing the same woke bullshit, but just for themselves and not other minorities. It's fucking cringe.
We talk on Clubhouse. I think changing your mind is good. I think it's nice. That's what I'm saying. So if I did change my mind, I would brag about changing my mind. I would think it is shameful.
Oh, I see. I mean, so Sam, then when you cite things like black people murdered at a rate 6 times X white people, there's only really 2 things you could mean here. Black people have a cultural problem. Black people have a genetic problem.
There's more.
What do you mean?
I mean cultural problem, but I don't think genetics is nothing, and also there's way more options than just those 2.
Sure. And do you think a culture is the product of the amount of melanin in their skin, or do you think the culture is a product of like the time they're in and the like access to capital they had and stuff like that?
You're really bad at like making false dichotomies, brother.
Do you think culture is at all related to melanin?
What does that even mean, right? Yeah, different people with different melanin amounts have different cultures. It's not causal.
No, strictly due to melanin.
Is there any parameter? Hold on. Is there any parameter in the statistics that marks it as gay?
A goofy question. Of course, it's not strictly by melanin. Wait, what a goofy question. Clearly, the differences between groups. Oh my God, there's culture, there's history, there's poverty, there's like racism, there's biology, there's like fucking random shit, like there's geography, there's like demographics. Some groups of people are older than other people, and that affects how they
start doing the thing where you like start inviting up random people, interviewing them about theism or something.
Anyway, right. That was a bad showing, right?
Supports me. Thank you, Piper.
Thank you, Piper. I want to debate Piper, to be honest. She's getting me a little bit mad lately.
What do you want to debate me about?
I'm going to debate you on something like your average contribution to these rooms is net negative to academic space.
That sounds really fucking boring.
I mean, it's example right there. Michaela, if you were going to be stranded on a desert island for the rest of your life, would you rather go with Piper or Ann?
You want an academic answer?
Yes, a strictly academic answer.
No, I'm not interested in talking to you.
Got his ass. Michaela doesn't want to talk to you, right? This is like, damn.
This is academic as you can get, really. And it's pretty much a consensus in the field, right? Sorry.
Timothy, would you want to come to the island?
Can somebody invite a black minister?
Yes. Black Minister, buddy!
Yeah, but can we, look, can you try to, if you're gonna say I'm a black Hebrew Israelite, so-called, at least, just say it, and you don't have to tell us about the history of black people.
Where is Black Minister? I don't see him in the
He's
election.
in no, he's in the others in the room at the very bottom.
You invite him, because it won't let me scroll down.
I can't do that, Timothy.
Oh, come on.
No, come on!
Timothy left.
Andrew, you're a
I
mod.
don't care if Timothy would be mad, bro.
It won't let me, it won't work.
I'll just put the mod up Mills or something.
Oh no, I found it. Black Jesus Minister! Buddy! How's it going?
Lots of black people tend to think that Christianity is the religion they got from their slave masters, and the reason why they think that is because it's true.
No, that's really bad. Really bad take.
Wait, so where did most of the black people? Okay, so you have black Americans. They spent like, I don't know, a couple hundred years in slavery. Most of them converted to Christianity under that time period, not after. So what?
I don't know,
how
Sam.
is this
Slavery was a long time ago. I think you're being like an SJW.
Yeah, also they only received the slave Bible, which took out 90% of the Old Testament and like 65% of the New Testament. So maybe when Frederick Douglass was reading it, he was like, yeah, if these people believe in the Bible, why would they take parts out? That's like insane. We should believe it.
Is it true that a lot of slaves got the slave Bible that took out like Exodus and stuff? Is that true?
Yeah, they took out almost all of it. I mean, think about it. All the foundational stories are like God taking you out of slavery, or somebody rising up slavery to the ranks to like be the vice president of Egypt and stuff. You know, like the vizier. You know, and like
was
that's
that
why
actually
people
common to like give them a fucking edited Bible?
Yeah, the slave Bible. They only received. There's like a whole thing, like museum full of it. I mean, you have to think, when you're reading Paul and he says, like, if you can free yourself from slavery, avail yourself of the opportunity. You don't actually want that in their Bibles either.
Wait, isn't it Paul saying you should obey your master even if he's cruel? Isn't that?
Yeah, but he's talking about during, basically, you're committing yourself to somebody's household in, like, Rome or something, right? And so, like, you know, even if you're living with a shitty guy, you know, just, you know, don't become a shitty person. He was trying to curtail the kind of like stuff we talked about the other day with the Hasmonean, like, let's all be rebels and like we're secretly like bitter against everybody and let's plan in private, like this kind of like, you know, crazy fighting, like way to like war against people or whatever. That was the type of stuff he was fighting. Because you remember, whenever he said, like, if you can avail yourself of the opportunity to free yourself from slavery, you should do it. He just meant, like, but don't do something like take a debt to somebody and then be like, but it turns out he sucks, so I don't have to pay back my debts or whatever, that kind of thing.
ChatGPT says that it was not mass-produced, only a few copies were made, it was not widely distributed, mostly a small number of British missionaries in the early Caribbean, in the early 1800s in the Caribbean. Because it kind of smelled like fishy to me that like there were so many Bibles around, and you're gonna really go out of your way to be like, well, here's the slave one. I'm like, but,
I mean, most of the time they couldn't, like, they were deprived of, like,
they couldn't even read.
They kind of didn't need to do that.
Yeah, the best way to keep the biblical ideas out of their head is just don't tell them what's in there.
Yeah, but the point is that of the people who could read, they had to take like the vast majority of it out.
Did you not hear what I said? That it seems like not many of them are actually hinted out. That it was supposed to be a Caribbean thing, and it wasn't very many of those.
Yeah, my response was, but of those that could read, they got them. You know, you had to take all this stuff out.
Okay. Alex O'Connor had Peter Singer and Swinburne on for a debate, and then Swinburne was like, I think it's just the fact of the matter what things God prohibits and does not prohibit. I just realized now Swinburne sounds like Elijah, that's funny. And then Alex O'Connor started reading the stuff about supporting slavery, and then Swinburne was like, that's enough talking of scripture now. No more of scripture discussion.
Well, he's not like a theologian. He's like a philosopher, right? And so he's more like creatures will take the theory of mind that is best suited according to the evidence.
I saw that debate. That was awful when Swinburne was talking, right? He's the one who like never shut up, right? It was terrible. Like he would just drone on forever. It took like 10 minutes to make a 2-second point.
Yeah, it's rough.
What were they debating?
Alright, I'm looking at the captions right now. It says,
It was on morality,
homosexuality, animal ethics, utilitarianism, yeah, ethics.
it was on whether or not I don't remember if it was whether or not it needs to go to God or whether or not it was a couple weeks.
Converse, can you help me get Uncle Thomas on here? Uncle Tom? Yeah, I mean, we want to go short.
Who's Uncle Thomas?
Bogardus.
Wait, the actual one or the Sean?
Yeah, that'd be awesome if Sean comes in with his stock account when he's here. No, the actual one. Yeah, I can get him on. You just have to, there's like a certain methodology I follow that works every time. All right, and hopefully first is, I say like, hey, look, I've had on, Dr. McGregor, Dr. Nakazawa, I've had on Hoppy. You tell them like you got to build your kind of credibility, and then you say.
Okay, I'm gonna read a poem to all you brain rot sufferers out there. This is called Bringing Light into Darkness. Even in the strongest in-betweener, evil is never totally vanquished. Yet there are times, especially during the Shema and the Amidah, when you are completely surrendered to God. Your intellect awash in sublime ecstasy, and emptied in deep contemplation of the infinite spaciousness of the endless one. At such moments, evil is overcome and nullified. When the ecstasy passes, the selfish passions return. Yet everyone is born with the capacity to turn these passions Godward. As it is written, then I saw that wisdom surpasses folly, as light surpasses darkness. As light, I feel like this is an exorcism for some of the people in the room. As light effortlessly defeats darkness, and yet cannot erase it, so the in-betweener defeats evil. Yet negative thoughts continue to arise. Do not dwell upon such thoughts, but thrust them aside with both hands, countering the selfish with the selfless, refraining from anger, and offering kindness even to those who offend you. An in-betweener is not sometimes good and sometimes evil, but rather forever engaged in bringing selfish passions under the influence of selfless service. While this sounds like a life of inner struggle here on Clown House, the way itself is in fact effortless, just as a burning candle doesn't struggle against the darkness, but effortlessly keeps it at bay. So you are not to fight your selfish nature, only to kindle the flame of kindness, refraining from anger and offering kindness to everyone on Clown House are how you live the way of the in-betweener. The Benoni in-betweener always struggles with both sides of the heart, the inclination for good and the inclination for evil. When contemplating the Shema, hear Shema, O Israel, the infinite is God, the infinite is one. You surrender to the oneness of God, erasing all sense of separate self. The Amidah, standing prayer, is the central prayer of Jewish worship. During the Amidah, you stand in the presence of God and are annulled in that presence the way a wave is annulled in the ocean. In Zohar, we are taught that while passions arise of their own accord outside your control, you can choose how to respond to them. Up next, we're going to read from The Great Way of Tao Te Ching. The movement of the Tao consists in returning. The use of the Tao consists in softness. All things under heaven are born of the corporeal. The corporeal is born of the incorporeal. When a wise... As for holding to fullness, far better were to stop in time. Keep on beating and sharpening a sword, and the edge cannot be preserved for long. Fill your house with gold and jade, and it can no longer be guarded. Set store by your riches and honor, and you will only reap a crop of calamities. Here is the way of heaven. When you have done your work, retire! The highest form of goodness is like water. Water knows how to benefit all things without striving with them. Stays in places loathed by all Clown House men. Therefore it comes near the Tao. In choosing your dwelling, know how to keep to the ground. In cultivating your mind, know how to dive in the hidden deeps. In dealing with others on Clown House, know how to be gentle and kind. In speaking, know how to keep your words. In governing, know how to maintain order. In transacting business, know how to be efficient. In making a move, know how to choose the right moment. If you do not strive with others, you will be free from blame. Heaven lasts long and earth abides. What is the secret of their durability? It is not because they do not live for themselves that they can live so long. Therefore the sage wants to remain behind, but finds himself at the head of others, reckons himself out, but finds himself safe and secure. It is not because he is selfless that his self is realized. The spirit of the fountain dies not. It is called the mysterious feminine. The doorway of the mysterious feminine is called the root of heaven and earth. Lingering like gossamer, it has only a hint of existence. And yet when you draw upon it, it is inexhaustible. Heaven and earth is not sentimental. It treats all things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his Clown House people as straw dogs. Between heaven and earth there seems to be a bellows. It is empty, and yet it is inexhaustible. The more it works, the more comes out of it. No amount of words can fathom it. Better look for it within you. The Tao is like an empty bowl, which in being used can never be filled up. Fathomless, it seems to be the origin of all things. It blunts all sharp edges, it unties all tangles, it harmonizes all lights. It unites the world into one whole. Hidden in the deeps of Clown House, yet it seems to exist forever. I do not know whose child it is. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things. By not exalting the talented, you will cause the people to cease from rivalry and contention. By not prizing goods hard to get, you will cause the people to cease from robbing and stealing. By not displaying what is desirable, you will cause the people's hearts to remain undisturbed. Therefore, the sage's way of governing begins by emptying the heart of desires, filling the belly with food, weakening the ambitions, toughening the bones. In this way, he will cause the people to remain without knowledge and without desire, and prevent the knowing ones from any ado. Practice non-ado, and everything will be in order. When all the world recognizes beauty as beauty, this in itself is ugliness. When all the world recognizes good as good, this in itself is evil. Indeed, the hidden and the manifest give birth to each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short exhibit each other. High and low set measure to each other. Voice and sound harmonize each other. Back and front follow each other. Therefore, the clown house sage manages his affairs without ado, and spreads his teaching without talking. He denies nothing to the teeming things. He rears them, but lays no claim to them. He does his work, but sets no store by it. He accomplishes his task, but does not dwell upon it. And yet it is just because he does not dwell on it that nobody can ever take it away from him. The Tao can be talked about, but not the eternal Tao. Names can be named, but not the eternal name. As the origin of heaven and earth, it is nameless. As the mother of all things, it is nameable. So as ever hidden, we should look at its inner essence as always manifest. We should look at its outer aspects. These two flow from the same source, though differently named, and both are called mysteries. The mystery of mysteries is the door of all essence.
This room is chaotic. This room is gay. Oh my god, look, Lexi's being a poser now. Oh wow.
Oh, look, she has her own cat.
Willow, when was the last time you guys get to copy me? I was the original person. Yesterday? Abby. So all y'all fucking now.
He thinks
That's what I
mean.
Right.
Yeah, but he thinks that
Right.
white people are Jews. He believes in the the tribes of Israel, and he admitted to this that he believes the tribes of Israel went up through Europe, basically.
Yeah, the Caucasus Mountains. What about that?
Does he really?
Right.
That's a stupid damn thing to believe.
Well, what do you, Congress? What do you do with the verse about ships? What do you do with that?
Oh, which one? Because there's a few.
Well, the one about they would put iron around your necks or whatever, and you would be sold, or no, you would be transported in ships or
Are
something.
you talking about You're talking
Deuteronomy.
about the Deuteronomy 28.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that already happened.
Well, I know they're saying it happened. They're saying it happened during this transatlantic slave trade. And they're like, who else can you cite in history?
No. The Jews actually went into slavery in ships, back into Egypt. You see, the biggest problem is that whenever it says
dollars because God can't save them if there's iron involved.
no, this was a curse on the Jews if they didn't follow God. He's gonna like let them go basically, and the other nations will enslave them or something. But no, there's like a specific faithful to God has like the exact, I forget which one it was, but there's like a time frame where Jews actually went back into Egypt as slaves.
So that was a prophecy?
Yeah, well, it wasn't necessarily a prophecy. It was just like saying like if it's like a conditional. You know, if you guys give up on the covenant that you're agreeing to, then these things will befall you or whatever, because I won't protect you anymore. Kind of thing. But it was only for the tribe of Judah, though, right? So, like, Toast thinks the majority of people in Europe are like the lost tribes of Israel, and they have like, look, I've actually seen these guys. I've watched the lectures and I've read like one thing on it, and they actually have like entire genealogical charts where they go like, okay, this group came from the Scythians, and the Scythians are blah blah blah, come from the Sakasuni, and the Sakasuni means the sons of Isaac. Like they have these whole chart. The mark of Denmark is the mark of Dan. Denmark, right? It's the mark of Dan. Blah blah blah. You know.
Well, I mean, I wish somebody would just put the whole thing to rest. I mean, it's so bad, dude.
Yeah, and then they go like the Anglo-Saxons, you know, or like the people, the angel people. That's because they're coming from Israel.
So, like, part of my education in university was like on this stuff, and that's not what any of those mean.
Yeah, well then it'd be interesting to see you go through all their like claims of genealogy.
Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Being confident of this very thing, that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Show me your ways, O Lord, teach me your paths, lead me in your truth, and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. On you I wait all the day. Don't forget to do good and to share with those in need. These are the sacrifices that please God. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. The Lord will fulfill his purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands.
No one even knows what you look like. You just show your fucking little tits, girl. Shit, like you fake as fuck, girl. Fake as fuck. The only thing you do is a fucking watch. I will love to you today.
This is brutal. I'm just gonna put some music on.
no, you gotta be consistent on your pictures. You gotta be consistent, not the fucking same old thing. Out of all the pictures in this fucking 4 years on the app, you only throw three pictures of yourself: your titties, your lips, and that fucking ugly orange bikini bitch. Those are only three.
Hey, quick question. How much do you pay for renting Canada?
So me and my roommate actually split $3,200 for a 2-bed, 2-bath, and
I like the other bitches that they actually show their faces. They actually show their body. You only show the same bikini.
What is written, and Moses returned to the camp, but his attendant Joshua, son of Nun, youth, did not stir out of the tent. Why Joshua? Because he was to Moses as the Moses the son, who was worthy to guard the pledge, so he did not stir out of the tent. Blessed Holy One said to Moses, Moses, this is not right. They've given my pledge to them, even though they've sinned against me. The pledge must remain with them. Turn for its sake, I will not abandon them wherever they are, even them against me. They have not obeyed his pledge of his. Strike and dart up and powerfully enter the hollow of the great abyss. Here their sparks are dyed red, blazing fires fuse to them. Embers explode, flying, falling, befalling human beings, just as it is written, I will discipline you more. I will give something more to the masters of judgment over and above their claim, whereas after the flood God said, I shall not doom the world anymore because of humankind. What does this mean anymore? I will not give more to the masters of judgment, lest they destroy the world, but only as much as the world can endure. So I will discipline you more, means I will give them more. Why more? To discipline you 7 for your sins, 7. But if the blessed Holy One collected his due, the world could not endure for even a moment, as it is written, if you kept account of sins, Yahweh, who would survive? How can you say 7 for your sins? Rather, what does 7 strike and dart up and powerfully enter the hollow of the great abyss? Here their sparks are dyed red, blazing fires fuse to them.
Which is much higher than the final was it really God's wish to kill Abraham? Why has he needed to be punished by
Talk about
don't snoop your bio like you do mine. So I still like you, Wubba, but you gotta refrain from hitting on me, Bub.
I'm not hitting on you, Bub.
Okay, Bub.
Gotta put your red rocket away, Whoopi.
Yeah, put your
Is that Albedo? I didn't know MJ was Albedo the whole time.
Put your purple builder with.
I can't. I have my phone in my pocket.
Why did you side with Jack after all the weird stuff happened?
You mean side with him in what way?
Yeah, Sully told me all of the lore yesterday.
Well, Sully said I'm not going to be around him. He's a PDF file. I won't ever hang out with him. I'll stay out of his rooms that he's in.
And you refused to accept the empirical evidence that he was. Why is that?
Well, I think that MAPs are ostracized and socially stigmatized in an unfair way. You know?
Can you elaborate?
Well, you need to talk to Omni about this. Omni says that the three most, the three most oppressed groups of people, or the three most unfairly oppressed or marginalized groups are minor attracted persons and I don't know, two other groups. So we probably need to get him in here to defend
Yeah,
that.
but you're the one making the claim. I need you to give the explanation.
Do you want the explanons or the explanandum?
Well, I want you to give the causal relation between the explanons and the
Are you sure you want the causal relation? What about the explanatory relation?
Do you think that the explanans predicts the explanando?
I'm agnostic on that.
That's like a yes or no vote. Do you think it's either the case?
No.
Andrew, sorry, I don't know what you're dodging. So you're doing now is you're dodging, and now you're obfuscating.
No, that's not a true dichotomy. I mean, I can at least have a position.
What's the third option, Andrew?
No, the third option, at least as far as my.
Look at you, you're stuttering. You're stun-locked right now. What a blunder on your end.
Hold on. Somebody's talking. Somebody's hot micing. Can somebody mute somebody?
Oh yeah, Thomas, I get you.
Yeah, Andrew, which would be a third option? Go ahead.
Yeah, the third option is going to be I don't know. I don't take a position on it. That's the third option.
Sorry, do you take it that X or not X is a true dichotomy?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, just to be very clear and linear about this. So which side of the dichotomy do you affirm?
I'm agnostic on which side I affirm.
Do you take it that it's either the case?
This has got to be by far the crazier room. The fact that
I'm agnostic on that.
I have like just never muted up and everybody just
I
keeps
take it those are the
talking.
only two options. Yes.
Okay, so then which one is
You
it?
guys really live.
I don't know.
You guys really live
You
with
think
your
it's
hearts
either
on
the
the
case that you know that those are the only
outside.
two
Truly
options or not?
dedicated to your craft.
Yes.
It's impressive.
Okay, so
And
which one is
Princessia
it?
too for
I don't know.
allowing this madness
You don't know, so it's not a true
to
dichotomy.
probably be
It's either the
listened
case
to. I
that you know.
mean, I think I could provide the balancing effect
It's a
against
true dichotomy that I
really
really
So it's not
toxic.
the case that you know.
That's just
So
me.
I don't
It's
know.
not the
This is
case.
my opinion.
No.
It's my opinion.
This is I don't know.
It's not the case that you know.
Epistemic true dichotomy.
What'd you say, Tomas?
Is it epistemically a true dichotomy?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by epistemically there.
It just means like you either know it or you don't.
What's the argument that that's what's meant by epistemic true dichotomy?
I'm just using it that way.
Sorry, so you don't have a clear inference that establishes the truth of the claim?
You know what Clubhouse is like? It's like bird watching. You're just trying to find out which birds can get the angriest, the most crazy, the most toxic. We're looking for like mutant birds in the forest that are so radioactive that they'll literally shine forever because they're that mutated and that angry, that crazy. Wasted. Yeah, this is the circus. This is the freak show. Welcome to Dinner for Schmucks. We're trying to identify the most toxic schmucks here. Let's see who's the biggest toxic schmuck. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Bussy is the most toxic schmuck you've ever heard. Put a 1 in the chat for Bussy. Put a 2 in the chat for Edmund Dakin. Put a 3 in the chat for my friend Zach Delabuda. Put a 4 in the chat for Princessia. Or put a 5 in the chat for Abby. Post your vote now. Post your vote now.
Yeah, what's the argument for
Post
that? You're
your
just
vote
gonna
now.
Obviously not engaging in the linear
Post
fashion,
your
engaging in
vote
linear.
now.
you're not,
Put a
'cause you're
1
gonna
for
just
Bussy,
fuck out in the substantive
No,
now.
2 for Edmund,
well, but
3 for Zach,
obviously, like a linear.
4 for
Calling
Al,
the fuck out in terms
5
of
for
substance. That's
Brimstone.
why he's pivoting to meta. He can't engage in a substantive conversation. He looks
This
terrible
is
right
called
now.
Clubhouse Data Analytics Gathering.
You're asking a meta
I
question.
want to welcome you
like
all
using
back
engaging in meta
This is just more
to
pivoted
Roberto,
meta.
aka Robert Taylor, the Bitcoin
You're asking
laundromat,
a meta question and accusing me of engaging in meta.
where really low IQ people come to waste their time. T-Robs, oh, don't forget to put T-Robs. Let's put him at number 10. Put a 10 in the chat if you think T-Robs is one of the most pathetic, most deranged, most low IQ, Irish-sounding potato farmers you've ever heard. Put a 10 in the chat for Rob. That's right, put a 10 in the chat for Rob.
Accuse me of providing a meta-analysis during a meta question conclusion. That's a
Put a 10 in the chat for Rob, everybody. If you think T-Robs in Northern Ireland is one of the sorriest sons of bitches you've ever heard in your life, put a 10 in the chat for 10.
Premise a conditional statement?
Put a chat in the 10 for chat for 10.
Was the second premise a conditional statement? Yeah, you've been dispatched. You're an absolute brain dead retard. You're nothing but a chocolate.
I meant to say modus.
Yeah. Now you're just struggling through the conversation. You're getting rhetorically outpaced. You look terrible right now.
I mean, that's your opinion.
Right, now you're just choking on my rhetorical dick. You can't even form a coherent sentence.
Well, that's just like your opinion.
It's just more pivot to meta on your end. What an absolute blunder. I don't know if you think you look good right now, but you look terrible.
High virtue is non-virtuous. Therefore, it has virtue. Low virtue never frees itself from virtuousness. Therefore, it has no virtue. High virtue makes no fuss and has no private ends to serve. High ceremony fusses but finds no response. Then it tries to enforce itself with rolled up sleeves. Failing Tao, man resorts to virtue. Failing virtue, man resorts to humanity. Failing humanity, man resorts to ceremony. Now ceremony is the merest husk of faith and loyalty. It is the beginning of all confusion and disorder. As to foreknowledge, it is only the flower of Tao, and the beginning of folly. Therefore, the full-grown man sets his heart upon the substance rather than the husk, upon the fruit rather than the flower. Truly, he prefers what is within to what is without. From of old, there are not lacking things that have attained oneness. The sky attained oneness and became clear. The earth attained oneness and became calm. The spirits attained oneness and became charged with mystical powers. The fountains attained oneness and became full. The 10,000 creatures attained oneness and became reproductive. Barons and princes attained oneness and became sovereign rulers of the world. All of them are what they are by virtue of oneness. If the sky were not clear, it would be likely to burst into bits. If the spirits were not charged with mystical powers, they would be likely to cease from being. If the fountains were not full, they would be likely to dry up. If the 10,000 creatures were not reproductive, they would be likely to come to extinction. If the barons and princes were not the sovereign rulers, they would be likely to stumble and fall. Truly, humility is the root from which greatness springs, and the high must be built upon the foundation of the low. That is why barons and princes style themselves the helpless one, the little one, and the worthless one.
probably like a fat, ugly Mexican loser. You're a fat, ugly loser. You suck. You can't even make an argument. I'm on Team Lexi. I would love to say something. I would celebrate up to this. I'm gonna fuck Lexi till she doesn't make me mad. Lexi, I wanna fuck just to make Bush mad. I would fucking do that. Let's film that. I'm gonna fuck her. I'm gonna film it. I'm gonna do it just to hurt you. I'm gonna do it just to hurt you. And then you're gonna have to watch it and cry. Yeah, they'll be like, now that you hear about me, oh wow, that's a everybody wants to see. That's a big deal.